Hello and welcome to the Runna Podcast. Today we have a very special episode for you with our amazing coach, Colleen. And we're going to be running through a special Ask the Coaches episode where we've got a bunch of questions that you've all sent in. So we're going to run through everything that you need to know to help you with your running. But before we dive into that, we're going to get to know Colleen. Colleen has come on the podcast before. So if you want to learn all about Colleen's amazing roller coaster journey, please go back and watch that episode. But in the interest of giving you guys a bit of a recap, and for those who haven't seen that one, Colleen, what got you into running?
Yeah. The last time we did the pod was in New York for the marathon, right? That was like a year ago, and that was a really fun episode. So yeah, I would definitely go back and watch that one. But I guess to try and recap my whole journey with running in just a couple of minutes, I did a little bit of grade school track. I don't know what you guys call grade school, but grade school track when I was like 10 or so, and hated it. It was not love at first sight. I didn't see running back then as a team sport. It felt like very, I didn't get that team vibe. So I actually much preferred playing soccer or like American soccer. And I did dance and I preferred those. And then when I got to high school, I did cross country for the first time in the fall to actually just stay in shape for soccer that was going to be in the spring. And that was the first time that I saw running as a team sport. And I was like, because everyone lines up on the starting line in the same starting line for cross. And you all do the same, right? You do the team huddle, all these types of things. Workouts were kind of all the same. And I was like, so I saw running in a different way then. And then I started really loving it. So I stopped playing soccer and I stopped dancing in high school and I just started focusing on running. I was also modeling at the time. So I had a big decision at the end of high school. And we got into that, I think, in the other podcast, how I chose running at my senior year of high school. I chose running over modeling. I chose to pursue that. So we get into why. But I ended up going to Florida State University, ran there for 4 years, learned how to do this event called the steeplechase that I'd never done before.
And what is the steeplechase?
Yeah, the steeple is 3,000 meters, so 7.5 laps on a track. Every lap, you have 4 big wooden barriers that you jump over. They're black and white striped, they look like horse barriers. For women, they're 30 inches tall, so they come up to here on my leg. And then you also have a water pit. So you have one of these barriers in front of a pit of water on the corner of the track, and you jump over that every lap as well. So you have 28 hurdles and 7 water pits over 3,000 meters, and it takes just around 9 minutes. My PR in the steeple is 9:10. To be able to do that.
For context, for people who run in kilometers, is 3 minute and 3 second per kilometer.
Right.
While also jumping over 4 hurdles at a big puddle.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is incredible.
It's a really fun event. And so I started doing that in college. And then I spent 4 years at Florida State. And when I was graduating, it was kind of junior, senior year, people started talking about. So this summer is actually my 10-year anniversary of being professional. So that was in 2015 was when I was graduating. And people started talking about, are you going to try and go to the Olympics in 2016 in Rio? And I remember thinking, no, that, don't be silly. That's crazy. But then, I think my senior year, I started thinking maybe. And then I graduated. I signed a deal with Nike. I joined a professional team in Portland, Oregon. And I started my Olympic, dream of maybe I could do this. Ended up making the team 1 year later, represented Team USA in Rio, finished 8th in the steeplechase in Rio. And I made 5 U.S. teams throughout 2015 through 2019, before COVID. Qualified for 5 USA teams, had a ton of fun. And then I had that was kind of chapter, I don't know what chapter, the first part of my professional career. And then I hit a few road bumps in between 2020 and this summer, really, where things were just, things got pretty dark. I got a lot of injuries and had a lot of health issues for 4 or 5 years, and changed a bunch of things. I had a little triathlon. I think we talked a bit about my foray into triathlon. I dipped my toe in and then I dipped my toe back out of the triathlon scene. There was that whole part, and came back to running just this past year. Like came back to the track, have a new coach, and then this summer I started my own professional team. I launched my own team. It's called Meridia, and there's 6 athletes, including myself, based out of Boulder, Colorado. So this is now, I'm 10 years into my professional career, and this is how I kind of feel like I do something in the sport that's like bigger than myself, and do something that I wish existed 10 years ago when I went pro. And when I realized that, and that realized that it still doesn't exist. And that I felt like if I didn't create it the way that I dreamed it, that I don't think it was going to exist. So taking a stab at it, started this summer, and I'm really excited about this next chapter and how that grows and where it goes.
It really is an incredible journey, and then still got many, many years to add to the storyline. And alongside that as well, about 2 years ago, you joined our amazing team of runner coaches.
God, has it been 2 years already? Crazy.
Lost track of time, but it is very exciting. And we were just talking upstairs about some of the very exciting things that are coming into our runner app soon as well.
And this came, I think, at a perfect time for me too, when I've always been like really big on community and teams, but figuring out, it's always been this like puzzle for me to figure out how to kind of like cross that bridge between like, I'm a track athlete, right? And I think people sometimes like, they kind of put us in a different category almost, like, oh, I'm a runner, like I run, and then I do track. And I'm like, it's the same thing. Like we like all are part of the same sport. And to figure out how to make it more relatable has always been kind of tricky. So
one of the things that we thought we got you a little bit excited about just being in the New York Marathon weekend last time round was, you said you thought you might do a marathon one day. Have you lent in or lent away from that idea?
I mean, I definitely still think I will do it one day. And every time I go to the New York City Marathon, as a spectator, I'm always just like, captivated by all the people who take it on as normal human. These are not, super freak athletes. They're just normal human beings, and they are taking on this like huge challenge. And I find that incredibly inspiring that they do it and they have fun with it. And it's this whole, they make it a whole weekend and stuff. And I'm like, oh, that does look like fun. Like my excuses of like, oh, a marathon's really long is like kind of bullshit. So I do need to figure that out. But I think I want to wait until my track career is like, I'm ready to kind of put that to the side, and then focus on a new goal and have that be kind of, another chapter. But I'm definitely curious about it. And the energy and the vibe and like just the community of road racing, it seems really special. So
Okay. And my final one in your running journey before we dive into answering all the questions everyone sent in is, how has your like feeling attached to your running changed through this roller coaster? You training during college, you didn't see it as this team sport, maybe didn't love it in the same way. You then ditched your other passions of kind of modeling and dancing for your running, performing at the highest level at the Olympics, going through injuries. Like, how does running feel to you now? Do you love it the same, more than ever? Like, how does it feel? Because I think that's probably the most important thing for
I love
everyone,
that.
right?
Yeah, I love that question. And my relationship with running has definitely changed a lot over the years, which I think is normal. And I think, fighting that or like wanting it to feel the same as it did when I was in high school, or not letting my motivation or my why for running change would be a mistake. Like you have to let it change as you grow and stuff. But I realized that for a period of time there, maybe those 4 or 5 years when I was like struggling with injury and stuff, I was putting so much pressure on the running. It's kind of a blessing and a curse to like have so much success earlier on in my career, because it gave me a lot of legitimacy. It gave me a platform to, reach a lot more people and have a lot of opportunities to work with cool brands and like do fun stuff and fun races. But then it also, it just creates a lot of pressure and expectation that I think kind of did kill a lot of the joy and the fun of like racing for me. It felt like now everything just is so important. It matters so much. And I was like gripping onto things so tightly that it didn't allow me to just kind of roll with the punches of like, like the ups and downs of everything. And then I got to a point where nothing felt fun anymore. Everything felt like kind of there was no upside to anything. It was like kind of all downside at some point. And so I think that's more than anything what kept me in that injury cycle was like that mindset around it that was not healthy and not, it wasn't fun. And it took me a long time to figure out how to just have put the fun back into it. And most recently this summer, I've started racing again and raced more in the past like month than I have in the past like 4 years. And I'm not running that fast. Like last night I ran a 3K flat, no barriers in 9 minutes. And so my best steeple time is 9:10. My best 3K flat time is 8:28. So I'm over 30 seconds off of like my personal best. And I had a blast. Like I had so much fun. And I think me of like a year or two ago couldn't have said that. I know me of a year ago couldn't have run that kind of time and then been like, that was fun. I enjoyed it. I would have immediately been like, but I have so much to go before I can be close to my PR. And I would have killed my own joy before I even was able to just like enjoy the process or the progress that I've been making. So that was like a mindset shift that has changed a bunch. And I think is probably really relatable to a lot of people who are trying to have fun with it. Like at the end of the day, yeah, you want to run fast and you want to set PBs and all this stuff. But if you set a PB or a PR or whatever, and you didn't have fun because you were so stressed about like the result, you kind of get to a point where you're like, what am I doing here? Like, what is the point? Am I doing it just to have a number next to my name? Or am I doing it to enjoy myself and be with my community and like have a genuine like good time? And I think for me, I had to figure out how to bring the joy and fun back into it before the performance part. Because if I was trying to go vice versa, I was trying to do the performance part and then have fun, and that wasn't working. So
and it is interesting because like it's almost like we can lean in towards the goal of performance or fun as if they're like apart.
Exactly.
But probably the best way to strive for like incredible long-term performance is consistent long-term productive training.
Totally.
And the only way you're going to do that is by having fun.
Enjoying it.
And I think that's probably what you had through all of that time running at college, doing all your cross country, and that was fun.
It was hard too, but it was fun. Yeah.
And then as soon as you encounter the injuries and and the pressure, it's then really hard to decouple the intensity towards performance, which is, I've got a little bit of a tired something, a little achy here, but I need to do that hard session because otherwise I'm not going to make progress towards that goal. Yeah. And then you're in this cycle of injuries and now you're sad because you're injured and now you're putting even more pressure. And it's where like, I think we need to skew back towards fun, even at the realm of being a professional athlete, which in reality, when we think about the average runner probably listening at home, they probably can sit more away from that lens of performance is all that matters. And they should even more lean towards what makes them happy, what can allow them to run consistently for a long time. And that will make them the best runner that they can be. And it's hopefully what allows them to be a good runner for the next 20, 50, 100 years or whatever it's going to be.
Totally.
Anyway, let's dive into the questions
we could
that
talk
our
about that
customers
forever.
have sent in. So we'll start off with some training hacks. We're going to talk through mentality after injuries, talk about mindset, and then come on to finding balance as well.
All my favorite things. Let's go.
Nice. Well, diving into it, thinking about training hacks to start with.
Okay.
So first question. I've been doing some of my easy runs and then looking at my heart rate and it's wildly high, but I don't feel exhausted. Why is this happening? And is it okay that this is the case?
Ooh.
What's your thoughts on high heart rates, training with heart rate? Do you track your heart rate when you train? What do you think about this?
I actually love this question. So I think there's a few things that could be at play. First of all, like how are you tracking your heart rate? Because if you're wearing a device that isn't tight enough on your wrist, if you're using a wrist and it's kind of like, moving around, especially like obviously you're running. So you have to make sure that it's like accurate. Maybe that's where we start is like make sure you're getting accurate data. Chest straps are preferable. The wrist is very hit or miss. So maybe take that with a grain of salt that maybe it's not super accurate. But I think also there are different, like people have different physiologies. And I'm hesitant kind of saying this because I feel like everyone thinks that whatever they can hack the system, but I do actually think that the type of athlete I am, I specialize in like the 1500 and the 3K, and my like lactate threshold and my heart rate tend to be a little bit higher than someone who's like a true like marathoner, where they could, you know, just like go forever. And I think it's okay. Like if my heart rate is like 150 to 160, 165 is pushing it probably for an easy run.
Yeah.
But I could be running next to someone who is like, 140. But if they get to 150, like they're toast, you know, where I'm like, I could be at 150 all day.
And I think that's the thing is that like
it's very personal.
The variance between people is astronomical.
Yes.
And I think we can both acknowledge that you're a much stronger and faster runner than I am. I couldn't run 3K in 9 minutes like you did last night.
Sure.
But you just said you run an easy run at a 150 heart rate, let's say. Yeah. I will do an easy run between 110 and 130.
That's crazy
but
to
you're
me.
like, you are a better runner than me.
Yeah.
And so
I would be running so slow to get my heart rate to be
and the same example is Steph Davies, and one of our other coaches.
Yeah.
She is astronomically a better runner than me. Her marathon PB is better than me. When we've probably been at similar marathon fitness, we'll run together and my heart rate on an easy run is like 20 lower than hers.
Yeah.
But like she is stronger than I am. Yeah. And so the difference between...
But she can probably get her heart rate higher. Her max heart rate is probably a lot higher than yours.
But I think the point is that like...
You can't compare.
Exactly. So the person, let's say they've got flawlessly accurate heart rate data so they can be confident in the numbers.
Yeah.
It's still representative to them. So I think like... My perspective as a coach is very much that like heart rate is helpful, but it's personal to you. If you have numbers that are higher than other people, it doesn't mean they're fitter or less fit.
Right.
The most important thing is to judge off how you feel.
Yes.
And it's also why we'll always communicate in the Runner app a conversational pace for easy run.
Exactly.
And not set heart rate zones as much because it is so variable, it is so personal.
Yeah.
And then I think also heart rate is what I would call almost like a secondary metric. Mm-hmm. So your heart rate is driven by how hard you try.
Right.
So we're better off controlling how hard we're trying than like trying to control our heart rate, which you look at your heart rate, be like, oh, high, try less hard. Now we'll adjust our running. So like we should control the thing that we can actually control, which is how fast we're running and our effort, which is driven by how you feel.
Yeah.
And then we can look at the heart rate and see over a training block and consistent training, hopefully getting fitter, maybe at the same pace, my heart rate's a few beats lower.
Exactly.
And so it's a really helpful thing to like, I think, keep an eye on, but don't panic. If you're doing an easy run and you see your heart rate's 170, it might be that you can get your heart rate up to 200 and that's okay.
And if you really want to know like what your zones are, what the proper thing to do would be to do a max heart rate test, and then you can figure out what your specific personalized zones are based on that, instead of like Googling what's zone 2 heart rate and then trying to like go off that. So, I mean, maybe if you really want to know, you should like get your max heart rate tested. But yeah, I think the RP, like rate of perceived effort, exertion or whatever, is a much more like, you know, reliable way to gauge.
Will you look at your heart rate in the middle of a workout?
Never.
No.
Never.
And you never have?
No.
There we are. I think that just like speaks to the answer.
No. Yeah.
I have it as one of the screens and I can see it, but it's more like I find it interesting.
Yeah.
And I see my pace, my distance, all of those other things.
I never even think about it. I'm way more in tune with like, I'm like thinking about, I would say think about breathing more.
Yeah.
And like if you're like breathing really rapidly and can't like say any words on an easy run, you're running too hard. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, I just think that breathing and like you're kind of like getting really in tune with your body, which just takes some time, is way more valuable.
Nice. Cool. Right. Next one.
Okay.
Do you actually need to warm up and cool down?
Oh, come on. Is that really a question?
What's the answer?
Absolutely. Yeah. Especially, I mean, yes, absolutely. No matter what, what you're doing before.
Get up off the couch, shoes on, straight out the door for any run? Or is the answer you have, but you don't recommend it?
I have. Yeah, exactly. I have done that in a pinch, but I just know that I'm going to have to start my run really slow because my body's going to feel crunchy. So
it's maybe the case that like, for the harder you're going to run, the more important the warm up and the cool down is?
Yeah. If I'm going to do like a little shakeout run and I'm crunched on time because I know I have to get back and shower and go to dinner, I'm like, fine, I'll do 3-4 miles without doing any like really warm up things. But my first mile, I will like really be letting my body adjust because it's hard to ask your body to go from sitting down and working, you know, at a laptop or whatever, or like laying down sleeping to like into running. Just to like make that transition really quickly it's mean to ask your body to do that.
I fully agree. And I even think it might be more so the case when you finish your run.
Yeah.
And like I used to be in the position where I would be running next to clients and then finishing with a cool down with them because that was part of my job, or leading group runs and finishing with a cool down stretch. Now,
when you're on your own.
Well, now I'm super stretched on time, finishing my run straight back to the desk.
Oh, and you feel horrible.
And I genuinely think that's probably the biggest reason why like I've had more injuries over the last few years,
totally
because
agree.
I come straight from doing tightening my muscles to then sitting in a position that allows my muscles to sit in a more tight position. And that leads to weaknesses, imbalances, and bad posture.
Yeah.
And not only is preparing for a run in the right way important, but I think making sure you just think through the muscles that you've just worked and make sure that you give them each
even
a
if
stretch.
it's 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I think the kiss of death for me is if I get back from my run and I pick up my phone. Then I'm immediately into, because I have all these notifications and I've missed texts and stuff, and I'm immediately drawn into that world. And to give yourself even 5 minutes of readjustment time to be like, okay, I'm not going to even pick it up because I know as soon as I pick it up, I'm drawn into it, and then I'm on to the next thing, and I haven't done it.
And it's quite funny because I'm quite sure that if your run, and you imagine you leave your phone at home, or you don't look at it until you finish your run, and then you get your notifications.
If your run,
if your run had been 5 minutes longer because you went the wrong way, you'd have been fine. Like everyone waiting for your reply would have been fine. And in the same way, if you had got stuck at a few traffic lights, added up to 5 minutes, would have been fine. So like you can probably come in the door, you can do your 5 minutes of stretching or 2 minutes of stretching.
Yes.
And it's better than not. So I think it's like, if we can try and train that to be our our habit, it will last a lifetime and allow us to avoid the injuries. And it's so funny because probably stretching after a run is a bit boring to the point where most people don't do it. But being injured makes you so sad. And like, imagine that a post-run stretch gives you like 1% less chance of getting injured.
It's a good investment.
Therefore, you only need to finish a run 100 times and stretch, and you've now like avoided that injury that will have made you more sad than 100 little stretch sessions made you bored. So like, it's kind of like trading tokens in the right place to avoid getting this really big debt man coming in and collecting you with an injury.
And I would say just like make it like routines are really important for humans. We just like really like that. And I think it won't take that many times, I don't know what the science is, of you finishing a run and then doing a 5-minute cool down routine. You'll do that like whatever, 5-10 times before you don't even have to think about it anymore. It's not a choice anymore. I finish my run and then I do this 5-minute cool down routine. And that's just how I do it. Like it's not a choice. This is just part of that's an extension of my run all of a sudden.
And there can be quite clever ways to create routines where, particularly because routines can be activated quite a lot by like location.
Yes.
So for example, you enter the kitchen, have a glass of water, you see your glasses, you think about have a glass of water. So like you could very easily make your routine, which is that you get back to your street, you stop your run a block away or whatever, and
you do like walking drills.
You walk back, you stretch your calves on the edge of the pavement, you do your quads before you go into your front door. Or you leave a stretch band on the floor by your sofa and you come in, shoes off, stretch on the floor, and you leave your phone in the next room along. So you're kind of like setting yourself up for success. And we all need our own different personal routines, and we all have our
you have to set it up to where it works for you, but like I think doing the same thing every time is so important. And then our brains are so powerful, so if your habit is to do that with your cool down routine, you will just do it without even making a conscious choice, and that's when you know you're in a good spot. If you're stopped making the choice and it becomes a routine.
So the person who sent that in, do a warm up and do a cool down for the next run, and then hopefully that will not be the next run. Hopefully it won't be just be the next run, it'll be every run. And I'm also going to warm up properly, and I'm going to do a little stretch before I go back to my desk after my next run.
Good.
Cool. Okay, we're going to move on to balance.
Great.
This is a question that I can definitely resonate with. How do you maintain a social life when you're waking up at 5 a.m. for runs, skipping Friday nights out for long, early, weekend-long runs, and any tips for balancing being dedicated to training while still having fun with friends and family without feeling like you're constantly missing out on all the other things in your life?
Yeah, it's really hard. That's definitely something that even I remember in high school feeling like I cared more about running than anyone else on like my high school team. I went to like a smaller, like all girls high school. And by like junior and senior year, I was like taking running way more seriously than anyone on my team. No one else on my team was going to like run in college or anything. I would show up for like the winter training. You have like cross country in the fall and track in the spring. And then all winter, we'd have like winter conditioning. My dad was the coach and he would host winter conditioning after school. And there'd be plenty of days growing up in Missouri where it was cold and, kind of snowy or rainy and cold. And I would be the only one who showed up for winter conditioning. And I just remember being like, ugh, like this is kind of a grind. Or I would like go home early from parties. I went home early from my prom. I had to skip high school graduation because of like a track meet. So yeah, no stranger to making the sacrifices, that you have to make to compete in the sport at a high level. But there's always there's always that give and take, or like sometimes I just know I'm going to take a hit on this workout, but this thing that I want to attend, or like, if this wedding or birthday party, whatever it is, if it's important enough to me, you just have to kind of make those, like push and pull sometimes, or just adjust a workout or switch a workout a day, if you have the availability in the schedule to do that, if something is like really important. And I think as I've gotten older, I've gotten better at like figuring out those priorities of like, maybe when I was younger, early on in my career, it was more important for me to like say no to everything and just say yes to running.
Well, I think that's the point, is that like whether it's like phases in our career or whether it's points in time within a year.
Totally.
Like, we need to like recognize what's important to us.
Yeah.
And there'll be points at time. Maybe it's Christmas. Maybe it's your wedding anniversary where you shouldn't be lining up your race schedule and signing up for the marathon at the point in time right before the busiest social season of your time, or
that's going to make you feel torn.
You work in an industry that gets really busy in September. Like maybe make sure that then you can have a little bit less training then.
Yeah.
So that you don't have too much pressure.
Yeah.
And I think the pressure is the thing that, when you cited, hindered your love of running for a period of time. And I think
it makes you feel like you have to do it and it's like a job. And like, then you start resenting it because you're like, I had to give up this thing over here in order to do this. And then it adds like, I have to do this really well. Otherwise, like I've done that before where I missed a friend's birthday party. And then because I was training for a race, and then I got hurt and I couldn't even do the race. And I was like, Christ, I should have just gone to the birthday party,
I think it's also recognizing that like, if it was easy, like if we could always do exactly what we wanted, no compromise, everyone would be doing it. It'd be boring, and you wouldn't feel a sense of achievement when you do it.
Exactly.
So inherently it needs to be some form of sacrifice.
Yeah. You just have to figure out how much. And like, I think you said it spot on about the timing, and like, you can't have it be like that big sacrifice or like all in on it 365 all year, every single day of the year. That is going to lead to burnout. But you have to figure out, okay, when are the kind of more intense periods of time where I'm like working towards a race or working towards this goal, and I can kind of like really focus on it. And then it's really important to have off season. Like off season is coming for me, and I'm a few weeks away from that, and I'm already thinking about how I'm going to spend the time differently for a couple of months to like really reset my batteries, really recharge and have the pendulum switch to the other way. And my running is going to be deprioritized for, a month or two. And then I'm going to be really excited to get back into training again, because I'll feel like I'm almost like craving that like training time again. And I think having your year be like broke up like that, whether it's a year or like whatever the time is for other people. But yeah, I think that was really important that you said that it can't be like that all year round, but it can be like that for a certain amount of time.
I think also we don't have it right. Like as in it is so hard. And so it's not like the person writing that in they just haven't heard the right answer and that they can get it right. Like there is not enough time in the day for anyone who wants to achieve great things. And if you want to run a marathon and be the funniest person in your friendship group and an amazing
best
career.
Parent
like
and,
it's impossible. And I think that's inherently what makes it hard. And that's inherently why we need to go through ebbs and flows where we lean more into being a good friend, being a good worker, being a good runner. And that's okay. So maybe plan your year, give yourself a bit of slack that you can't be an A-star student at all areas of your life all the time.
Yep.
But the only kind of like practical thing I could say on top of like something to try and help that definitely I've probably done mainly by accident, but I'm very grateful that I have, is that I get so much of my social interaction through exercise.
Yes.
And so for me, I mean, I almost find it hard to deal with a Saturday morning because I have too much choice. So Saturday morning,
so many group run options.
Saturday morning, I can either go to park run with all of my best friends, and they'll all basically all go to the same park run, or I can go to my cycling club and do the most exciting cycling workout with loads of great cyclists, and they're both on Saturday morning, which is annoying. But like it means that every Saturday morning I wake up and I know I'm going to do a phenomenal exercise, and I'm also going to tick my social quota for the day. And in the same way, you might have a friend who's not as big a runner as you, but that could be a good opportunity to go and do an easy run or maybe a Pilates workout or something, and get that social interaction. Helps you get your exercise in, makes it more fun, but also ticks some of that social quota. So I think seeing when you don't have enough time to give each of your buckets the time they need, where can any of your buckets overlap to try and make more out of your time? But I definitely don't have it right. And it sounds like you can't have it right all the year. So you have to go through the down periods. And I think sometimes you need to commit too much to one bucket, let the other bucket go down until you get a bit unhappy. You're missing your friends and you're training too hard, or you're feeling unfit and drank too much and not trained, and then you rebalance. And I think we'll always go through this kind of this swing. It's not quite right.
Let it happen.
And you'll never get it right. And it's a really hard thing, but that's what makes it feel great when you achieve something great, because the juggling act is so hard.
Right. The only other thing I'll add to that is I stopped drinking like 2 years ago. I just had this like shift in my life where I just lost the desire to drink alcohol anymore. It's kind of a strange thing, but I wear Whoop all the time, and Whoop will tell you how much drinking impacts your recovery. It's like kind of mind-blowing. But one thing I will say is like you can go out with your friends. Well, I don't know, people might be like, no, you can't. But you can go out with your friends and not drink and still have a great time. And then you won't feel like horrible in the morning. And you may still feel tired if you are out late. But the difference that alcohol makes on your recovery is, if you drink, is kind of depressing. And I will just encourage people that like, if you kind of want to have both, if you're like, I want to have the social thing, but I also have this like run in the morning. If you just go out and don't drink, I think you can kind of have the best of both worlds sometimes. So
well, it's funny. The next question was, I'm going for a half marathon. Do I actually need to cut down on alcohol, and how far before my race?
People are going to hate me. Yeah, because I just it's so bad.
Everything you just said is almost the exact same conclusions I've had with alcohol.
Okay.
Which is, first of all, I don't have enough time in my life to like nail the things I want to do. I work more than I probably would like. I train not enough, but I'm obsessed with doing Ironman, which is an extremely time intensive thing. And I have friends and a girlfriend and want to be good at doing
I actually
those
don't
things.
understand how many hours are in your day, or do you not? How much do you sleep? I feel like you're one of those people who don't need sleep.
But the point being is that therefore there's no time left for a day off waking up hungover.
Right.
Because if I have a day off work, it's a day where I can now do more exercise to make up for sitting at a desk too much.
Yeah.
Which the last thing I want to do is be hungover.
Yes.
So I think like inherently it's a really like challenging one to like put on top of something, a life that's already busy, where we know how unproductive it is for the goal of fitness. Mm-hmm. But I think then we also can go back to what we just spoke about with the ebbs and flows of time, and recognizing that maybe at certain times of year, different things mean more to us than others.
Totally.
And so while I'm very similar to you, I'll probably drink very, very little. I'll probably drink 3 times a year.
Okay.
A best friend's wedding, as an example.
I'm kind of the same, yeah.
But I also am probably, just like we're able to not stop talking on a podcast, like we can probably go out and be confident enough to like be entertaining at dinner without needing like 3 beers.
Yes.
But I think at the same time, a lot of people may well recognize that they've got the half marathon, they really want a PB.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the year, actually they'll carry on with 1 or 2 nights of drinking a week. But when they've got their big thing coming up, that's when they dial more of their chips into that bucket. And it's that kind of pendulum of time.
Yeah.
And just like maybe when you're going on your anniversary every year for your wedding, that could be where you drink your favorite champagne that you had at your wedding, and you drink, and then you maybe
you're not going to feel great the next day, but it's worth it.
You're not going to get back from your holiday and do your race the next day. That'd be silly.
Yeah.
So like maybe drinking can be something that you drink less towards the race. I mean, the answer to the question is if you want to do the very best in your half marathon coming up,
you don't
never drink again for the rest of your life, sleep 8.5 hours a day, train like an absolute mad person, strength every day, or strength, whatever, Pilates, mobility, eat all of this. But the answer to that is that's not right, because this person is not a professional athlete.
They'll go crazy.
And they need to be happy. And so therefore, what do you need to be happy?
Yeah.
And then what do you need to be happy in different segments of time? Because the answer won't be universally right. So probably drink as little as possible, so long as you're happy.
Yes.
And if drinking nothing
will make
answer. You sad, then
drink
that's wrong.
As little as possible while maintaining happiness.
Yeah. And that's it. Because imagine this person stops drinking for 3 weeks, their training's going really well, and then they're miserable.
Yes.
Even if they do a really good time in that half marathon,
they'll never do it again, because they're like, that sucks.
And the key for them doing a good half marathon time and nailing it is 5 years of half marathon cycles and getting that in 5 years' time. So one training block that you nail that you never do again.
We don't want to make them hate it.
Yeah. And, I mean, I've had to come to that exact conclusion with like doing Ironman. So typically with an Ironman, you'll peak at around between the age of 35 and 40. Okay. I'm 29 and I've done at least one every year for the last 7 years.
You're only 29.
Yeah, I look fucking old.
What the fuck? But, no, not that you look old, just that you've done a lot.
But like, I know that I could have trained really hard for the last few years and I'd be much better than I am now.
Okay.
But I'd probably be really sad. I probably wouldn't love Ironman because it had just been taken over my life.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be doing it when I'm 35.
Right.
Whereas instead, by doing it consistently, it makes me happy and I don't need to be a professional athlete anyway.
Yeah.
But also it probably means I'll be better by just continuously improving till 35 than if I'd got a better time today, but I never do one again.
Absolutely.
So I think I think that also much better of a philosophy to live for normal people who are amateurs enjoying health within the rest of their life.
Yeah, making it
Obviously,
more sustainable.
If a professional athlete was like, no, sorry, coach, I'm going to smash out a night out tonight and I'm not sleeping 7 hours. I'm going to sleep 6 hours because like, YOLO. Yeah. You're probably not going to like nail your Olympic cycle.
Yeah.
But that's, I think, also where we need to recognize that we don't all need to behave like that. We can understand all the things that we can do, and then we can cherry pick as many of them that we can that will benefit us and make us happy. Yeah. And see how we go. And then we can also change over time, maybe lean more into behaving more like a professional or less. Yeah. And again, it's a reversible change.
Yeah. And I think I've noticed that because I've made that choice, I've become really more intentional about the times where I do like want to go out and drink, or like I'm gonna like this is gonna be kind of a special night or a big night, and you don't feel bad about it. You don't feel guilty about it then. You're like, no, I've made the choice to like enjoy this night in this way, and I'm just going to go for it. And, you know, I don't feel bad about it, but I'm not doing this every weekend. Yeah. Like this is like a special thing. And so then it can be a special thing and you get to lean more into it. And then, you're like, okay. And then I won't do it again for like a month or 2 or 3. So.
And I think everything's about balance. And as soon as you do too much of something, you don't appreciate it
and
anymore.
Then it won't, it's not as much fun anymore because you're like, I do this every Friday.
I think the worst is also if you're staying out late and you're like, oh, this isn't that fun. I should have gone to bed.
Oh my God, that is the worst.
By like knowing you don't do it too often. And when you do it, like, this is so fun.
So fun.
I feel like that with playing on the PlayStation, playing Call of Duty. I very rarely have time to do it, but when I do it, I'm like, I'll make sure I'm playing with one of my best buddies and we have the best time. And then I won't do it for a while. Nice. And like, also, I know playing Call of Duty every day for the next like 100 years would make me so happy. Yeah. But it would be awful for my work, for my running, my sleeping. So I don't do it. But like to some extent, to be good at anything, we need some discipline. Totally. Because if we always did what was easy, we would probably never achieve anything. Okay, last one on balance. As a busy working parent, I often only have less than an hour to train to keep myself ticking over during the week. Yeah. How do I make the most of short sessions?
Oh my God. Yeah. I know professional athletes who are parents, and actually some of them like run marathons, work a job. Like I'm thinking of Sarah Vaughn, for example, is a marathon runner, works as a real estate agent, and she's got a few kids. And I just literally, I'm like, how many hours are in your day? The math is not mathing. I don't understand how you do it. And I have so much respect for, and she's doing it at a professional level, but even someone whoever sent this question in, who's just trying to do it, at a level that is fun and they can like feel progress and, work towards a goal, to be able to have the motivation to get up at 5 a.m. or whatever, so you can do your long run before your kids wake up and you have to feed them and get them to school and all that stuff. Like, that is so impressive. So, I mean, I hope this person is just, for starters, just giving themselves some kudos for taking that on and giving themselves that hour a day to do that is very impressive, and I think is harder than what I do. Like, I train at 9 a.m. I have other things going on in my life, but like, yeah, it's just, I think it's extremely hard. So kudos to them.
Absolutely. And I think like one of the catchphrases that everyone's heard of is like little and often. It's much better to do something like consistently little and often than like one big workout once a week and that's all you do.
Totally.
But then at the same time, there's so much that you can do if you have 30 minutes or 45
an hour,
minutes.
Yeah.
You can do strength. You could do a strength session at home. In the Runna app, you can customize whether you want strength to be 30 minutes, 45 or an hour. You can choose whether you want weight kit or to be at home. You can do your strength. You can do your mobility. You don't need equipment. You just do it at home. So there's lots you can do that way. And then also something that's often very common within people who've got busy schedules, whether that's at work or with family commitments, and you're training for a big marathon or an ultra marathon and it's hard to get a long run in, you can break it in half. Yeah. And it's not necessarily optimal if we had all the time in the world. But again, life's about balance, like we've kind of spoken about. So it's better to do, if you've got a 20K long run to do, 10K in the morning, 10K in the afternoon, and you've done 20K of mileage in the legs. Obviously, when you go and do your marathon that you're training for, you probably don't just have a working day in the middle, but it's still better than not doing 20K of training.
Yes.
And so I think it's also recognizing that like we can't be 100% good at everything. And if you are, you'll only be able to be good at one thing. Yeah. So compromise in that way. So you can break your runs in that way. One of the exciting things you can also do in the Runna app now, we've just launched our non-race-based plans, which is where we can, or revamp them. You can kind of have a running maintenance plan, a run faster plan, a run further plan, and you're not training towards a race.
Cool.
And so it's a great one to opt in for if you've just finished your marathon and you just want to keep ticking over with your training.
Yeah.
And with that, you can set your kind of mileage cap, so your total weekly mileage cap, or even your length of run cap. So you don't want any of your easy runs to be longer than X distance.
Yeah, because you just don't have time.
Yeah, so that could be a great way to work around that.
And I think the other thing here is probably to hit on again is like the routine thing, where it's like, if you know like 5 to 6 a.m. is your window where your kids are sleeping and you can do it, like, yeah, like you said, if you do that, every day or almost every day and just get in however much you can during that hour, and building that into your routine, you're way better off doing that than, being like, okay, I do that sometimes, but then I catch up on the weekend, then I like don't do it some days and I do like twice on the weekend or, double on the weekend. Like, I don't know if I would say that if you can get in the routine of doing it like at the same time every day, you're probably better off, even if it's like a smaller portion, doing it that way. Yep.
And then the final one is kind of like, I've had to kind of stick my hangout with friends at the same time as exercising together, like where possible, stick these two things together. So that could be getting a running buggy and knowing that like you're going to run a bit slower and it's going to be a bit hard. Yeah. And maybe your kid's going to cry at the start, but like, it's probably worthwhile because they'll probably learn that running is an amazing thing that they're going to recognize and respect you for doing. And also it's the best way to do two things at once. Yeah.
And then when you get to do like a run without the buggy or a race without the buggy, you probably feel like you're flying.
Yeah. And then when the kid's a bit older, they can cycle next to you. And then you'll probably have like, be easier to get out the door on a run because you've got a teammate.
So bike pacer.
Yeah. Obviously it's hard when your babies
both of us are saying these without having kids. So it's like, must be nice for us to give advice. But yeah,
absolutely.
Mostly just kudos and like give yourself a pat on the back because you're doing a lot and try not to be hard on yourself.
Yeah. And also, like we said, we can plan our goals to be more kind on ourselves. If we know we've got young children, maybe don't sign up to your first ever marathon whereby you're also going through a promotion cycle and life's crazy. Maybe just focus on shorter distances or whatever it's going to be. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Moving on to mentality around injury. I know we spoke about this a little bit at the start. I'm 6 months post-surgery and cleared to run, but I'm still feeling anxious about re-injuring myself.
Yeah.
How can I rebuild my confidence and trust my body again after such a big setback?
Yeah, that resonates for sure. I mean, I've definitely obviously been injured a bunch and then navigated like the return to run a bunch of times. And there's always going to be that like stress about, am I healed all the way? Is this enough? And how to like push, you know, athletes are so naturally willing to like, you know, hurt yourself in a good way. Like you're going to like work hard and like you're gonna, you know, feel like pain of running just because running is hard, and then differentiating between like pain of injury and pain of training, and where's that line? And right after you get injured or coming back from that line feels so fuzzy, and you're just like, how do I trust what's okay and what's not?
Well,
and
especially because I think in the way to avoid getting injured in the first place it's learning where that line is, which is a sharp pain around a joint is probably not good, but a ache in the muscle is probably more like you're fatigued.
Right. And is this like my body telling me no, or my brain?
So you think you've got that feeling right. You get injured. So now you're coming back and you're thinking maybe I need to realign where that edge is. And so now you're having all of those doubts.
Right.
But I think practically it's the case of working with a professional who can give you the confidence to say, Julian, you're signed off from this injury, you're able to start running again.
Yeah.
And then to continue to work with them to the point where you build up gradually.
Yeah.
You're gradually reintroducing running, starting with doing walk running, then we can be running consistently, then we can be reintroducing intensity and seeing how the body progresses, and also being prepared to adapt to how that goes.
Yeah.
And also recognizing that like it is scary.
Yeah.
And you just got to work through that as a process.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that every injury like process and recovery and rehab has its own timeline, and you can't, even if your PT might say like it's like 6 to 8 weeks or whatever, like you might be on the 6 weeks, you might be the 8 weeks, you might be 5. I mean, the 6 to 8 weeks might be the average. You might be 5 weeks, you might be 10 weeks. And no one else is going to have like the same exact recovery timeline as you. And I mean, you know, speaking from experience, I'm very competitive, and I want, you know, I'm always in my own brain. I'm always behind schedule, right? I'm always like rushing and trying to like do things faster. And so I'll trying to rush the process and like get ahead of myself. And you just can't do that with like the injury stuff. You really have to let it come to you. Like let it be something where you're not chasing, and you're just kind of like letting, you know, the comeback come to you more. And it might be slower, you know, than you want. But it's also like one of those phrases of like go slow to go fast. Like if you try and rush it, it's actually going to end up taking longer than if you like let it happen in its own pace. You might actually be able to, it feels like it's going really slow at first, but if you allow that, then I think you'll more quickly be like, oh, like now I kind of like popped out of it and now I'm like completely fine. Whereas if you're constantly like pressing the edge and trying to force it to go happen quicker, you'll probably actually slow down the healing process and end up taking longer.
I think on the point of like kind of letting it come to you and being patient, and it might take a bit longer, is even though it might take longer than you would like, I think it's always the case that when you're in an injury, you're in that period of time, it feels like it's going on forever and you're miserable. Yeah. But I think once you're through it and you're back on track, it feels like a blip.
A blip. Totally.
And like even for you who've had a few years where you, like it's a blip in your lifetime of running.
Totally.
And I'm the same. I had a bulging disc in my back. I was off anything for 3 months, and it feels like a tiny segment of time in retrospect.
Yeah.
And so probably if you're nervous that you're scared of re-injuring yourself, just take it a bit slower.
Yeah.
Like imagine you're going to be building up 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Take 10.
Totally.
And if that takes 10 in the grand scheme of
your
your
then you're 100% after 10 weeks.
You're more likely to build up without an injury.
Yeah.
And if that means that over your 5-year running during time frame, you spent 10 weeks injured rather than 6.
Exactly.
Who cares?
Yeah.
10 of a 250-week 5-year horizon is like less than 2%.
Yeah.
So
invest the time and it will pay back.
So just
dividends.
Relax, take your time, and it probably those nervousnesses is your body saying, let's not overdo it.
Yeah, I'm not ready.
And that's helpful.
Yeah.
So no rush.
I know.
And
Listen to your body is like the most annoying advice, because you're like, oh, like, what is she saying? You're like, I'm trying to listen.
But it's also what we said earlier, which is that like you need to give yourself the advice you give someone else.
Yeah.
And that like when you have been injured and when I've been injured, totally. I bet you we're like, physio, come on, can I run? Okay, well, if I can't run, can I do this really intense other thing because I need to be fit? And it's like, no, this is what we tell other people, but we know how hard it is to follow it ourselves.
Totally.
So even if it feels hard to hear and hard to follow, try your best to listen, and it will be the best thing for you to get out of that indefinite cycle of being injured that you want to get out of, and it feels like it's going on forever, so that you can get out of it and it can look like a blip in the past.
Even like the cross training, I've definitely, been injured and just been like hammering cross training for like hours and hours a day, because I'm like so crazy about I don't want to lose fitness and da 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 da. But I think looking back, I didn't give myself enough rest. I wasn't allowing my body the time and space to just heal. And I think I just needed more time, of being restful and not, even though I wasn't running, I was like 2 hours in the pool and an hour on the bike, and my body wasn't able to actually rest. And so yes, cross training can be a great tool, both mentally and physically, because it does help your body stay conditioned. It also mentally gives you some happy endorphins that you're missing from your run training, which is great. It helps with your appetite. You'll probably get done with an hour in the pool and then be ravenous and want to go eat a really good meal, which is great. But if you're doing it kind of more like in a neurotic way, I think your body can't heal the way that it really needs to. So my biggest advice for injury is make sure you're fueling well. Even though you're not running, your body needs fuel to heal, and it's using a lot of energy and calories to heal whatever it is. So really good nutrition. And then some, if you're cleared to cross training, like some cross training is good, but making sure you're not overdoing that. Something I've done before, and just like letting it. And maybe your body's like telling you, like, I need some time to rest and heal, and then you'll be able to get back to your training quicker. Yep,
fully agree. That's also almost answered the next question.
Oh, great.
Which is perfect. I'll add one more point to it. But during your own injury recoveries, what is the one thing that kept you mentally sane when you couldn't exercise? And I think you spoke for cross training.
Cross training is great,
and I'm the same. Like I said, I like doing Ironman triathlons. And so if I'm struggling by running a bit, and I'm not feeling comfortable to do intensity because of a ache or a pain, I can do a bit more cycling, and that's great. I think it's also, like you said, important not to overdo the other sport, because probably if you're struggling, you actually need to
it's a sign
ease off.
Exactly.
But I think the other one that we can do is if you're doing less running or less training because our body's hurting, you don't need to get up early and do a long run. You can sleep more. And the best thing you're going to be able to do to solve these problems in the body is sleep alongside the eating well. But so don't be so hard on yourself to say, oh, well, I'm not doing a long run anymore. I now need to do a long ski ergo. Like, you could actually just do a bit less.
Sit on the row machine for an hour instead.
Rather than doing 3 hours, you can do a 30-minute mobility, have a lie-in and have some good food. And know that like this is a period of time where the most important thing you can do is get healthy again. And even if you take a little bit of a back step to your cardiovascular fitness, you'll be able to step that forward again in the future. And so again, ebbs and flows.
It could be also an opportunity to be like, I mean, I've tried to use injury periods as a time to be like, well, usually in my life, I don't do certain things because I just don't have time for them because I'm spending that time running. So maybe I have more time to work on a meditation practice or a journaling practice that I oftentimes like put to the side because I feel like I'm like, running and training so much. Or maybe there's like, I do a little bit of knitting. I love doing anything that is like crafty, like with my hands. So maybe, I have more time to like throw on pottery on a wheel or something. And I don't usually do that because that's my running time. But if I'm not running, I have time to do something else like that. And I feel like that's a really good, if we're talking about like how to mentally, handle it. What other things in your life, you are a multi-dimensional human being. What other things in your life do you enjoy doing that you usually don't have time for because you're running?
Yeah. No, I love that. Okay. Final category. We're going to move on to mindset.
Okay.
Even after years of running, I sometimes feel like I've hit a plateau and lose a bit of my motivation. How do you keep your mindset fresh and stay motivated after big goals or running starts to not give you the same running high that you had at the start?
Yeah, this is a great one. I mean, this is very apt for like what I'm doing right now as I'm like getting back onto the racing circuit after having, a lot of time away. And, I mentioned before, I'm not running times that are like super impressive. I ran a 4:10, 1500 last weekend, and my PR is like 4:04.
Not super impressive for you.
Relatively,
they are super impressive.
Relatively unimpressive. And so how do I make that feel fresh and fun? And one thing that I'm doing this season is I had no interest in racing races I've done previously in the past. I just feel like it's too easy for me to compare me to me of the past. And so I thought this would be a fun summer. I've been professional for 10 years and there's still a lot of races that I've never done. So I thought, okay, let me put together a little circuit of races I've never competed at before and have some new experiences. Maybe race in places, a city. I'm going to Scotland for a race in like a week and a half. I've never been to Scotland before. Like that's so fun. And so I figured out how to like, even though running is not new to me and racing is not new to me, the distance of the race is not new to me. I'm trying to figure out a way to make it feel fresh and make it feel more like an adventure and less easy to compare myself to myself or really to other people, but mostly just figuring out how to make it feel more fresh and new and more of an adventure. So for me, it's like picking races I've never done before.
No, I love that. I think it's also worth recognizing what it is that makes things feel exciting to you. Like maybe you're the kind of person who's obsessed with times. And so maybe like you made enormous time improvements for the first few years and now those improvements are stagnating. Yeah. A really good thing I think is worth doing is each year just like resetting your kind of clock of times. And then that way on January the 1st, you do an easy 5K. It's your fastest 5K of the year. Yeah. And then
season's best.
You're building out your times for that year.
Yeah.
And rather than just thinking, I'm not going to do my lifetime 5K because it was 2 years ago when I was in the best shape ever and I was a bit lighter and my work was out the way and whatever. Don't worry about that because now you're just relatively measuring your happiness at your 5K running to how fast you are.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't be like that. And so I think like going through those cycles of time is really important.
Yeah. Do you guys, professional runners talk about like in our races, in the results, oftentimes it will say next
season's
to your
best.
Thing, season's best or personal best.
It's actually something.
Other people,
we have the CEO of Strava in the building in the Runna HQ today. And something that I think would be amazing for Runna and Strava is that not only do you have your PR or your PB in your trophy case, you should have this year's
best.
And then you could also, I would love it where you can also customize the time frame. Yeah. So imagine you come out of an injury in September the 1st. I was just going to say that. I want to reset to like new season for me today.
Yes. Fastest time I've run since surgery.
Yeah. So I did 9-man on the weekend. I'm going to take a few weeks off.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to start training again.
Yeah.
Who cares where I was before? I want to,
in this training block,
I should start off with a park run, test out my 5K, and then try and get stronger. Yeah. And like that way it'll feel really fresh and interesting. So there's things that we can build and put into Runna and Strava. But at the same time, making things fresh and interesting for you is going to be so important.
Yeah.
And then I would say attached, the other one is varying our goals. So you may well have been doing marathons for the last 5 years.
Yeah.
And you realize you're not improving that much. Yeah. You've kind of done them all. You're going back to the one you've done before.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, we can adjust where we're going.
Yeah.
But maybe focus on a different goal.
event.
Go and nail the 5K.
Yeah.
Or like think about doing a mile.
Oh, yeah. I love the mile. I love challenging people to a mile.
Or do an ultra marathon.
Yeah.
And you're going to get faster or you're going to build your endurance at one end of the spectrum and then come back to the marathon and it's fresh and exciting and feels different. And I think like that's so much of it. If things are starting to feel boring, just rip it up and change it.
Totally.
Nice. Well, those are all the questions we've been sent in. We're going to segue over to Steph for our coaching tip of the week.
My top tip today is to have a mix of both faster and slower runs in your training. Those faster, high-intensity runs will really challenge you and help improve your pacing. Those slower, low-intensity sessions will help aid your recovery and build your endurance. A training plan with a mix of these paces and intensities will help you become a stronger and faster runner overall.
Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by the Runna app, the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide. If you want to try the app today, use code podcast25 for 2 weeks totally for free. And please do remember to rate, follow and subscribe to us on your listening platform to help us climb the rankings and so that we can keep bringing you the most interesting and amazing guests. Thank you so much for that, Steph. We are back, and Colleen, we have some this or that's for you.
Okay, great.
So,
I'll try and be quick.
would you rather never be able to wear carbons ever again?
Like carbon-plated shoes.
Carbon-plated shoes,
Okay.
super shoes, or never be able to wear spikes ever again?
Shoot. I'm going to say never carbons. Yeah. I would keep my spikes.
Nice.
Yeah. I think people kind of overuse the carbon shoes sometimes. Hot take.
Fair. You have to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
So you're famous for your fast braids.
Nice braids, yep.
And your very bright snazzy outfits.
Mm.
For all races, forevermore, would you rather never be able to do your hair, but you can wear whatever bright outfit you like, or
I see where you're going with this.
you do your hair however you like, but you have to wear your dad's running kit?
Oh, come on. Oh, that's so hard. So if I get to wear my whatever
Dad's running kit, head and hair, however you like,
Yeah.
or head and hair, like what I do, jump out the shower, towel dry, that's it. But you can wear the brightest and most fantastic kit.
Yeah, I think I'm keeping my kits however I want, and then I just have to like wear my hair in a regular ponytail.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think so. There's just so many things you can do. I this summer I for the first time I had this like Barbie pink one piece, and someone reached out to me on Instagram. She lives in LA and she like bedazzles people's kits, and so I sent her my pink Barbie one, and she put rhinestones all over it. And yeah, I was like, this is my new favorite thing. I love this so much. So actually last night in my race, I didn't wear that one. It's very fragile.
Okay.
And you can only like wear it. I feel like you have to be like really careful with it. And I have a bunch of different kits. So I wore a different one last night, and then I won my race. And the guy who interviewed me was like so disappointed that I didn't have. He was like, I thought you were going to have gemstones on your kit.
Oh.
I was like, oh, not this one. So I don't know. I feel
Okay.
like there's so much you can do with the kits. I would keep the kit, and then I would just have my hair in a sad ponytail.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right, next one.
Okay.
Would you rather go to bed tonight, wake up, and you have to run a marathon
Oh, jeez.
tomorrow, no training, or you have a year, but a year from now, you have to do an Ironman? So a year to prep Ironman, no time to prep run a marathon.
I think I'm doing the Ironman.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like it would be more epic,
Fair.
you know? And I would prefer to be able to be prepared. Being unprepared for a race
the flip
sucks.
side is you get the marathon over and done with. Tomorrow afternoon, back to normal.
I know.
Whereas the next year, you're in an Ironman training block.
I don't know. I kind of like a challenge though, where it's like I'm gonna spend a year and I'm gonna like tackle this thing, and I'm gonna like do it to the best of my ability. Like I would if that was like, yeah. I mean, I'm assuming that I'm not like doing track things, so I'm just gonna like, yeah, go for a goal. I think I would do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, well, our final question is we like to ask everyone to design their dream race.
Yeah.
But you've already
done
designed
that.
your dream race.
I think we came up with a road steeplechase in New York City, if I
Well,
remember correctly.
Yeah. And what we want
It was
to know...
a mile
Yeah.
on the road with some water. I feel like, right?
Yeah. So instead, we'd like you to design your dream triathlon, but it can't be swim, bike, run.
Right. 3 different sports.
So 3 different sports. Where is it? What are they? You can keep one of the swim, bike, run.
Oh, okay.
So what is this multidisciplined sporting race that is your
Okay.
dream crazy race?
So I think setting is going to be LA.
Okay.
That's like my home base, and it's where the Olympics are going to be in 28. I'm going to keep the run. I think I'm going to bring it home with a run.
So at
I
the
feel
end.
like that'd be fun. Yeah.
Okay.
Other sports I could do there. I don't know how to skateboard, but I would be willing to learn how to skateboard in order to. I feel like that would be a very LA thing. Have you seen that? Actually, what was it? I think it was a woman who just skateboarded across the entire country of the United States on her skateboard. Pretty sure.
So are you starting this race with a skateboard, or is it the middle segment?
Well, I gotta figure out what my third one would be.
I feel like it could be like a rollerblade.
Ooh, that could be fun. Yeah. Because I was thinking like another sport would be like fun to do, like tennis or something. But that doesn't really make sense.
What, you like run on the court? You have to do like 10 shots into like
you
the
could,
square, and then
yeah.
like you're running onto your skateboard.
Yeah, like it's like it turns into like a high rocks thing where you're like you have to do like 10
It's not like wall balls. It's
wall
like,
balls.
It's
Yeah.
like 15 aces, and once you've like got it past Federer, then you can run. Then you can get on your skateboard.
Yeah. I was just thinking because that's like one of the things that Kevin and I, my partner Kevin and I, sometimes like to go like play tennis or like paddle or pickleball or like paddle ball out by like there's like courts by the beach by the beach in LA. So you could like you have to do
I'm thinking about the beach. What about like a sandcastle building or like digging a big beach hole, burying yourself in it, and then you go on to the next one. I feel like beach activities could be fun. Or like tug of war.
Ooh.
And the winning team get onto the next phase. So if you don't win the tug of war, you're just out.
Yeah.
So once you've won the tug of war, you run, get on a skateboard.
Okay, now I've got it. So I need a partner.
Okay.
This is
Is it unisex? Doesn't matter.
Team sport. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
And we do 2-on-2, call it paddleball.
Yeah.
Or pickleball, whatever. I always forget which one is which. But we do 2-on-2 paddleball for whatever, until a certain amount of points or whatever. And then we have to hop on rollerblades.
Yep.
Point-to-point rollerblade situation, maybe like Venice to Malibu or something. And then you take off the rollerblades and you have to run back.
Wow. Incredible. Well, I would imagine that the Olympic Committee will be hearing this, and you'll probably be representing USA in LA.
Absolutely. I think they'll accept me for sure. Yeah. And since there's 4 people, it's like you're competing as a team. So then you'd have to there'd have to be a point situation of like, if you get certain amount of points for like winning the paddle part, and then
I think based on your performance in paddle gives you a head start on the rollerblading.
Oh.
Because you do want it to be like whoever crosses the finish line, we know who won. Otherwise you kind of have to consult the judges.
That's
so
true.
I think you get based on the performance in paddle.
Yeah, it would be more fun to like race the finish.
So I think for like however many points you win paddle by dictates how fast a head start you get on the rollerblading.
Yeah.
Or maybe there's like a number of
like it's kind of like you're sitting in the penalty box or something for losing the paddle tournament. Yeah.
Nice. Well, that is fantastic.
We really put that together.
Yeah, brilliant. I think it's going to happen.
Cool.
Well, as always, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast, sharing all of your insights with all of our runners, and thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Thanks for having me.